13 years old, I had a I had a kill list. And so, they used to do these rankings. It was Street and Smith basketball rankings. And I was nowhere to be found because I was like 6'4", scrawny, like 160 pounds soaking wet. So I was like 57 on the list. And so I would look at 56, 55, all the way up to number 1, who these players are, what club teams they played for. So when we go on an AAU travel circuit, I got to hunt them down, right? And so that became my mission in high school, is to check off every other person, all those 56 other names, hunt them down and knock them down. 13 years old, I played the longer game because my game wasn't about being better than you at 13. It was to be better than you when the chips are really on the line. So when we played at 13, I would size you up and see what your strengths and weaknesses are. How do you approach the game? Are you silly about it? Are you goofy about it? Are you good at it just because you're bigger and stronger than everybody else? Right? Or is there actually thought and skill that you put into it? Right? And when I'd play to my weaknesses. I wouldn't play to my strengths. I played to my weaknesses. Because when you're playing summer basketball, there's so many games. So there's not a lot of skill work being done. So when are you going to get better? Right? When you're playing in competition situations, you're only playing to your strengths. Why? Because you want to win. Right? So what I would do, I was work on the things during those games that I was weak at. Left hand, pull-up jump shot, post game. Right? So I have a strategy. And so then fast forward to when I'm 17 and my game is completely well-rounded, and that player at 13 that I saw at 13 is still doing the same shit at 17, now you got a problem. Right? Because what I found in the NBA is a lot of guys played for financial stability. And when they came to the NBA, they got that financial stability, so therefore the passion and the work ethic and the obsessiveness was gone. So I'm looking at that, I'm like, oh my God, it's gonna be like taking candy from a baby. No wonder Mike wins all these fucking championships. It's like, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? And then you had the players that had that passion, but weren't willing to commit their entire lives to doing that, right? It's a choice, right? You have other things. You have family. You have all these other things that you have to do. The game can't really be your number one priority. And so I was just looking at that like, man, this is going to be fun. The love of the game. The love of the game, the challenge. Like I would watch Magic play. I'd watch Michael play. And I would see them do these unbelievable things. And I'd say, can I get to that level? I don't know, but let's find out. Let's find out. And so that curiosity to see where I could push this thing led me down that path, I think. Right? So, basketball for me was the most important thing. So everything I saw, whether it was TV shows, whether it was books I read, people I talked to, everything was done to try to learn how to become a better basketball player. Everything. And so when you have that point of view, then literally the world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft. And the people that love you, like friends and family, like they know that about you.
Got it.
So they let you be you. And when you reconvene, you pick back up where you left off. Mm-hmm. But make no mistake about it, everything in between is lost, right? So those long-term relationships, the commitment of time of, taking vacation. Like I see a lot of players take vacations with other players that are close friends, and they'll just take vacations just to take vacations, or just hang out just to hang out. Like I never did that. I didn't want to have to say, I wish I would have done more. I don't want that. I don't want that. Right? Like you're worried about how people may perceive you, and like you're walking around and it's embarrassing because you shot 5 air balls. Get over yourself, right? And then after that, it's okay, well, why did those air balls happen? Got it. High school, year before, we played 35 games, max, right? Week in between, spaced out, plenty of time to rest. In the NBA, it's back to back to back to back to back to back to back. I didn't have the legs. So you look at the shot, every shot was online. Every shot was online, but every shot was short. Right? I got to get stronger. I got to train differently. The weight training program that I'm doing, I got to tailor it for an 82-game season so that when the playoffs come around, my legs are stronger and that ball gets there. So I look at it with rationale and say, okay, well, the reason why I shot air balls is because my legs aren't there. I go, well, next year they'll be there. That was it.
Done.
Well, I mean, every day. I mean, since for 20 years. I mean, it was an everyday process and trying to figure out strengths and weaknesses. For example, jumping ability. Man, my vertical was a 40, it wasn't a 46 or a 40, 45. My hands are big, but they're not massive. Right? So you got to figure out ways to strengthen them so your hands are strong enough to be able to palm a ball and do the things that you need to do. Quickness, I was quick, but not insanely quick. I was fast, but not ridiculously fast. Right? So I had to rely on skill a lot more. I had to rely on angles a lot more. I had to study the game a lot more. And but I enjoyed it though. So like from the time I can remember when I started watching the game, I studied the game, and it just never changed. I don't deal with people that don't commit at that level, but then act as if they do. I don't deal with that. I don't. What are we doing?
That.
What are we doing?
I love that.
You know, but it's a balancing act, and that's the thing that's important is understanding that we have to have so much energy. Because for like Natalia and Gianna when they were babies, especially Natalia because she was doing prime years, and I go to practice and I'd train and I'd play the game and I'd come home and I'd be sore and I'd be tired, and she wants to go swimming, she wants me to take her to the park, she wants to just jump on my back or whatever the case may be. You can't say, I'm too tired, I'm going to lay down. That's not fair. She don't know what the hell's going on, right? And if this was a game, you'd suck it up and play. I played games with the flu. I played games with 102-degree fever. You got to go out and perform because fans don't know, teammates don't know, nor do they care, nor should they, that you've been up all night. You got to perform, right? And so you just got to go to work, man.
It's respect.
That's
it. Respect.
You got a lot of people paying their hard-earned money to come watch you perform. Perform. It's your job to be in shape. It's your job to be strong enough to perform at that level every single night. And as a competitor, I'm not ducking shit. And then my competitiveness inside was like, no, I'm gonna do something in the next 20 years that is better than these last 20. You might not understand that. I'm doing that, you know. So the competitiveness kicks in. You want first place, come play with me. You want second place, go somewhere else.
What up, my 800% crew? Gosh, I love this time of the week. I love sitting in with you. I love updating you on what's going on in the news, what's going on in the outside world, because I know we get stuck in between those four walls an awful lot. But gosh, that video we just watched, the Mamba mentality, Kobe Bryant. If you've been living under a rock, you might not know him, but one of the greatest, legendary. He's not just legendary for basketball and his success in basketball or in sports. He's legendary for the way that he did it, the amount of effort that he put in, the amount of discipline that it took to get to those heights. He wasn't the tallest, he wasn't the fastest, he wasn't the strongest, but he did have the best work ethic. He did have the best discipline. He did have the best, he was a role model for the people that were below him and above him. We have to do that. We have to constantly educate ourselves and constantly want to push ourselves forward in every deal, every day, every line, every time. It's like what we preach. We've got to stay in the zone, get that Mamba mentality, and make it happen. Regardless if it's a credit union deal, you're getting 1.5%. Your max VSC is $2,500. They don't accept tire and wheel, but they have a gap that you can sell for $800. But if it's a customer, you got to sell it at cost. We got to figure out how to push that deal over the curb and make it profitable. It's those deals that are just all rate driven, got to be at 60 months at a 399, but we're at 72 at a 599. We got to figure out how to make those happen. We've got to do our research. We've got to educate ourselves. We've got to read about what's going on in finance. We've got to dive into those relationships. Just like the triangle we talk about. The products, the processes, and relationships. We've got to dive into our relationships. How are we building those relationships with the lenders? Not just the buyers, not just the reps. What about the relationship managers? What about the VPs, the presidents, the whoever else is in charge? I want to go up the ladder. I want to have their cell phone. I want to have the access to text them a credit app, to text them approval, to get that note back so that it saves you time instead of waiting on a copy application and submit it over to them again. Let's make it as easy as we can. Relationships is in products. We got to have our product reps like RC with US Warranty, He Was Ours, Protective, AGWS, whoever you use, have that rep cell phone number on you because time kills deals. We got to build those relationships. Service advisors. You've got to get in that service department. I'm telling you, a lot of people are underestimating it. A lot of people don't do it. And that ties back to the Mamba mentality, doing stuff that most players aren't going to do. I don't know if you've read a couple of his books, but one of them he talks about, he got into tap dancing. Can you imagine Kobe Bryant tap dancing? And you know why he did it? Because he hurt his ankle. He hurt his ankle because his ankle wasn't strong enough for the amount of force and how fast he was moving throughout and on the court. So he looked up, he did his research, he did his education, and he said, I don't care what it is, what's the best way to strengthen my ankles? And it said tap dancing. He did tap dancing for over a year, and you never saw him with a hurt ankle again. Those types of things, we've got to look outside the box and think with that Mamba mentality. Mechanics, we got to get in with the service advisors and mechanics. We got to know what they're dealing with on the warranty claims. We got to know how much it's costing per hour on these mechanics. That'll help us on these closes. It'll help build the value of the VSC that we're selling them. If we can rattle off to a customer, not only, Mr. Customer, is this going to cover all your mechanical and electrical components of the vehicle, but it's also going to cover the labor costs. Do you know what the labor costs are, Mr. Customer? They're probably going to say $80 an hour, $90 an hour. Actually, they're $175 an hour, Mr. Customer. So if you had one fix that was 5 hours, this is what it's going to cost you on just the labor. So for instance, you get a part, maybe a window switch, window motor. It's $17.99, $17.99. Yeah, okay, that's cheap enough. But to put it in is 5 hours of cost. Say your cost, we're going to round it up. Say it's $200 an hour. Just to put it in, it takes 5 hours. Look at the cost right there. You're over $1,000 just for one little window motor in one instance. Like, use these to our advantage. Use those relationships. Employees, same thing with our accounting ladies, our title people, our detail people. You know how many times that I would go down to the detail department, and I'm in finance, go down to the detail department and learn about the new ways that they're detailing these cars, the new products that they're putting on them. Learn how they're actually applying our ceramic. What are they doing to the interior? What is it actually, what's the benefit of it? What are you seeing? What kind of cars work better for the ceramic than others? Like, just little things. Even the detail part, accounting, same way. Like, what are you dealing with in with the DMVs? What kind of paperwork are you getting back? What errors am I making that I can help improve? Little things. Think outside of the box, that Mamba mentality. I'm going to go back to our Trinity too. Let's go to products. We got to make sure we got the right products. We got to make sure we got the right products. Obviously, we're all going to have VSC, and if you don't, I don't know why you're in the group. Got to have VSC, tire and wheels, ceramic coatings, okay? I don't mean a spray-on wax. If you got a spray-on wax, we got to talk about it. It's not even worth having. Most of the time, you just spray it on, they wipe it off. Half the time, detail doesn't even do it. If you can get it done within 30 minutes of the customer leaving your office, it's not a good product. We got to look at our products, make sure that they have the right value so that we can sell them for more. 5-in-1 bundles, the windshields, the keys, whatever it is, we got to have the right products. Also, products in saying your menu. And I preach it because I live it. You know, I've just been blessed with the opportunity to do 8,000 deals in 5 years. I've had the opportunity to take week by week, I would do maybe, 50 deals. We'll say 50 deals a week, 40 deals, 40, 50 deals a week. I was able to take a week at a time and tweak my presentation. I can't tell you how many times or how many ways that I've presented. I presented digitally on an iPad. I've presented flipping the folder or deal jacket over and just writing it down. I've presented just verbally through my mouth. I've made PowerPoints and done the presentation that way. I've done the menu, but done it backwards from lower amount of products all the way to the most products that we have. And I'm telling you, time after time after time again of me trying little things and tweaks, the best way is to do for me anyway. And obviously I want you to take it as you will, but I want you to know that I've tried all these different ways, and the most profitable, the most convenient way The most transparent, clear, and convenient way to do it for myself and the customer was doing the menu, the paper menu, writing on it, going call all of my products first, your platinum to your bronze, or product 4 to product 1, whatever you got it numbered at. Go that way. I promise you, stick with it. You give them an explanation all the way through, and then you show them their options that, hey, maybe if this is a little bit too much, these are your other options that we've got. I've tried it all different ways. I promise you, we've got to have that. Just having that menu and presentation tool. So if you've got the DocuPad, same thing. It's the same thing. I've worked with the Art Mowing group. They've got the DocuPads, a couple other groups, the Beaver Toyota group. It's the same way. You can do the same type of presentation with or without the DocuPad. We've got to have our DMS, our tracking system, and then yourself. This is huge. You got to believe in yourself. You can have the best products. You can have the best financing. You can have the best dealership in the world. But if you don't believe in yourself, if you can't sell yourself, you're going to come up short. You're going to run the $1,500 a copy. You're not going to ever get to that $2,500 or that $3,000 because you're limiting yourself. If you can't sell a customer a $6,000 service contract and fully believe in it, we've got problems. We got to look at our processes or our products or our vendors. We got to look at something. Why do you not believe it? Look at yourself. Maybe it's you. So those are just some quick points on the Trinity. Same with the processes. We got to touch on our process, cash processes. What's our process if a customer comes up and says, hey, I'm going to pay cash? What does our salespeople do? What do our management staff do? What do we do? We got to look at those remote deals. Working with the Walt Massey Group right now. What do we do on a remote deal? Do we just call it in, act like it's a cash deal, maybe quickly present VSC and something that we get paid on? Or are we doing a full extensive presentation? Are we doing the full Zoom call, the FaceTime, the email, the sending the text? Like, we got to look at ourselves. How are we presenting that? Same with our product processes. Like, what happens on a VSC claim? We need to know what happens and how easy or hard it is to get that approval. Same thing with our ceramic. If you don't know your process of ceramic inside and out, if you can't explain it like this, all right, so I'm just going to just show an example for you. So this is how in tune that I knew our process was. This is how I just knew what was happening to that customer's vehicle. All right, so here, hold on just a second. All right, so you're selling the ceramic. You say, all right, Mr. Customer, this is our liquid diamond. This is what we call it. Our liquid diamond ceramic. So it's 70, 80% of people that buy the type of vehicle that you have, this is what they're going to get. Okay. And I'm going to explain it, walk through it with you real quick. So first, what we're going to do before you leave my office is we're going to set you an appointment. Go ahead and assume the close. Before you leave my office, we're going to set you an appointment for a later date so you can bring it back in and we can get it ceramic coated. So what they do, when you bring the car in, we're going to pull it into a paint bay. This paint bay's got tons of LED lights all throughout so that we can see any imperfections on that paint. Now, if there are any imperfections, we're going to clay bar it, we're going to buff it, we're going to wet sand it, we're going to do whatever we have to do to get that paint and clear coat as perfect as possible. Once we feel like it's as perfect as we can get it, we're going to take a foot by foot section. We're going to take that ceramic coating. We're going to put it on a sponge. We're going to make sure that it's a microfiber cloth sponge. We're going to go foot by foot section, get every single panel of the vehicle all the way around from top to bottom. And then we're going to let it cure. We're going to take our blower fans. We're going to put it on each side of the vehicle. We're going to let that cure and dry and adhere to that paint. Once it does so, it's going to create like a barrier or a shield over top of your clear coat and your paint. It's going to prevent any type of environmental damages from tree sap, bird waste, acid rain, anything to hurt or peel or corrode your paint. We're going to cover you for 5 years. So for 5 years, no deductible, your paint's going to look better than it does right now. And I know it's a new vehicle. It's going to look better than it does right now for the next 5 years. Now, John, I do know that you've told me you like to travel a lot. You got kids, you got pets. So the biggest part might not be the outside. It's probably going to be the inside for you. So, John, what we're going to do is we're going to open up those doors. We're going to seal those door panels. We're going to do the inside door jambs. We're going to touch the carpets. We're going to do your leather seats. We're going to give them a nice condition. We're going to do your headliner. We're going to do all the door panels as well. And then we're going to seal it. And we're going to back it by a 5-year coverage. So what does that mean? If you get a tear in your seat, if you get any corrosion on the seat, if it wears and tears, you know, your blue jeans kind of fade off in the seat sometimes. If it does that, I'm going to cover you for 5 years. If I can't repair it, I replace it. Same with all your carpets. Your kids in the back seat, they spill a bucket of paint. I can't get it out. I'm going to put you some new carpets in there. Same thing with the headliner. Say you're smoking. I don't know if you're a smoker or not. Say you're smoking. You hit the top of the headliner, it gets a little burn hole. We're going to repair that or replace it for you as well. So John, this is our liquid diamond ceramic coating product. It's going to keep your vehicle as new as it is today or newer for the next 5 years. Let's go ahead and lock you in here. That's how we present the ceramic coating. You have to know exactly step by step, what are they doing? How are they doing it? And how can it be protective for that customer? So on that, after that little rant, hopefully that was able to help a little bit more people to understand what I was meaning by staying true to the trifecta, the trinity, the processes, the products, and the relationships. Let's build them. I also want to congratulate a few people today. I want to congratulate Terry Drummond over at the Garland Shelton Group. Keep pushing, my man. He's at a Volkswagen and a Volvo store. Those are two hard brands. If anybody's worked with them, you know they're different. Different product, different lenders, different relationships, different salespeople. You're moving, man. You're moving the needle. Keep moving it. I promise you're going to get there. You're almost $1,500 a car there. You were at $1,200, $1,100 when you first started a month or two ago. So keep pushing in that direction. Also want to congratulate Caleb Victor, my guy over at the CMA Group. Young guy, just got in finance a few months ago. He's kicking butt, running high 2000s, 2,800, 2,600, 2,400, month in, month out. Never below 2. That's what I like to see. You're newer. You're a green pea. Keep that green pea mindset, my man. Same with AJ over at the Miller Motors. You got a lot of hats to wear, man. Congratulate you on keep pushing. Keep striving to do better. We got that not so average Joe over at the Art Mowing Group. Keep pushing. Keep doing what you're doing, man. You're selling products. You're tenacious. You got that Mamba mentality. I know it's there. Let's crank it up. Let's crank the notch up just a little bit. Let's get over that 25, 2,600 a car. Samantha, Sam, over at the Art Mowing Group. I know you're doing well. We had a great one-on-one. Soak it in. Start putting those things into place. Have the patience and be uncomfortable. Same with Justin and Lou over there. Keep doing what you're doing. I love seeing what you guys are doing. So now let's touch on the news. What's going on in the news? What's going on in F&I today? So U.S. consumer, so basically this is saying that customers aren't very confident about buying cars. They're saying that, over the last 5-6 months, they've done a couple reporting, and it's the customers are feeling like, hey, it's not the best time to buy a car. Maybe the strike's going on, maybe the rates, maybe the pricing on vehicles, whatever it is, customers, and I'm sure you guys have felt it, they're not just laydowns anymore. It's not COVID where they're coming in and saying, hey, just get me done. Whatever car you have, I'm cool with it. It's not going to happen anymore. We really got to do it. And I've said this time and time again, but we got to do double the effort to get the same result. So if we want to double what we did last year, that's quadruple the effort of what we did last year. Quadruple just to get double. Okay. So that means it's going to be hard. We're going to fight every single cash deal. We're going to have to do our 3-peats: menu, accept, decline, menu, every single deal. Audit yourself. Don't hold anybody. Don't let anybody, don't wait until somebody tells you, man, did you do this? Did you do that? Man, I went through your deals and I saw that you didn't have your menu or your accept decline forms and some of these deals. Like, just do it. Hold yourself accountable. Time block your day. All those things are going to come into play. Go back to the foundation and rewatch it if you have to. But we've got to put these things into place. The next thing, Capital One, I thought this was pretty interesting. Capital One is shutting down their, they have a place in California, their buying center. They're shutting it down. They're moving people over to Texas because they're saying the West Coast, the auto industry or the auto buying centers aren't getting enough action. So in my head, that's saying, okay, we've got some lenders that are big auto lenders that are kind of retracting, kind of pulling back. So what does that mean? What does that mean for us? That means just stay open, listen. You've got to educate yourself. Get on these automotive news. Get on auto finance websites. Get on, tap into your resources, just like the relationships I was talking about. Cap One has amazing buying centers. They have amazing relationship managers. They have an amazing dealer tool that we use. Tap into those. See what's going on in the industry. We've got a lot of lenders, credit unions, and banks included that are pulling out of indirect lending. So we've got to find other options. That's why I talk building your pipeline, constantly adding lenders. Like, that's part of it. That's something that should be part of your process. So now that we know what's going on in the news, we know We know how to present. We know the Trinity. We know the F&I Trinity. We know products, processes, and relationships will hold are the three pillars of finance. Let's talk a little bit about my journey and how it's been over these last 10, 12, 15 years. So I know most of you probably know, but I want to share with you. I didn't start in the auto industry. I started at a grocery store. It's called Ken's New Market, Ken's grocery store. And I was 15 years old, and I was pushing carts out. Back then, this grocery store was pretty old school. We would take out carts for people. Like if they had kids or older or needed help out to their car, we would take it out and we would unload all of the groceries for them. And that was kind of my job. I also did some stocking and stuff. But one part of my job that I absolutely despised and what really helped me grow out of where I was, and it's crazy because some of the things that happen in life, and I want you to relate this to where you are right now, but I had to take out, they had amazing fried chicken. Kentucky Fried Chicken was there, had amazing chicken in the grocery store that they cooked there. And at the end of the night, somebody had to empty that 5-gallon at least bucket of grease. I mean, I'm talking the worst smell, nasty, just makes me sick thinking about it. And who do you think they had emptying that? Yep, the 15-year-old kid that just wanted a job. So every night before I left, I had to get that nasty bucket of grease and I had to take it to the grease pit. And I can't tell you how many times I got sick emptying this thing, and the smell, just everything was terrible. And after doing that time after time after time again, I realized that, there's more out there. There's more out there for me. And you know what really set me over the edge is when an opportunity came and a person handed me $100 bill for taking their groceries about 50 feet. And I thought, you know how long it took me to make that $100 bill when I was just hour to hour? It took me probably about 17 hours worth of work to get actual $100 in my hands. And I just started reminiscing and vision and just thinking about what else was possible. So I worked there for about a year, and I kept thinking to myself, I know there's more. I don't really know, as a 15-year-old kid, you're not supposed to know, but it started firing things in my brain like, what do I do next? What do I do next? And some of us might be in this situation. The next thing, I was in a high school co-op program. So I enrolled in this co-op program, but I didn't have a job yet. Ironic is that. And one of the only requirement to be in this program was to have a job. That was it. So I had to go find an actual job. I had the grocery store job, which is part-time. They wouldn't accept that for the co-op program. So I went over to Dan Cummins. It was a dealership right across the street from my high school, and I applied there, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I really didn't care. I just applied for anything, and they said, well, we've got a detail position open. Well, that's when I started detail. I did that for about 2 years, scrubbing carpets, shining wheels, doing all the stuff, man. And I also had an aha moment there. The aha moment in detail was about a year and a half in, and one of the salespeople was about my age, and he brought me these keys, and it was to a brand new Malibu, and it was like a LTZ, and it was when Malibus were big, when they were first starting to come out with that new body style. And that's the car that I've been looking at. And he's like, here, and you care to clean this up for me? I'm like, yeah, man, that's an awesome car. Who bought it? He's like, I bought it. I said, wow, you just started sales like 3 months ago. You bought that? To me, making $180 a week, there's no way. I had enough money to pay for gas and food and maybe go to the movies every other weekend. But for him to buy a $35,000 car, I'm like, it opened my mind. It made me, okay. So, and I'm going to go back a little bit, but put this journey, this thing that I'm talking about, my life and what happened, put this in your perspective. Where are you right now? Have you had that aha moment and you missed it? Have you had that aha moment and you just decided that you're comfortable, you're good where you're at? Because I could have said, yeah, that's awesome, man, and just kept cleaning cars, but I didn't. I said, how do I get there? How do I do that? And that's what I want from you all, that curiosity, that spark, that how do I get to that next level? So anyway, I ended up applying for sales, denied, didn't get anything, didn't hear back from them. So I decided to go to the police academy. I decided to go back to college, try to get a degree. Well, that lasted, all of 3 months. And it wasn't for me. I didn't want to be a police officer after really seeing what they did. They go through a lot and don't get a whole lot of pay. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Well, I come home one night. Glenn is actually, he's becoming my neighbor, and I help him move in, help him move a couple things across the street. And when I do so, it's another aha moment. You know, it's another moment of that I didn't take for granted. He said, so, you know, what do you do for a living? I said, well, I'm detail over at Dan Cummins. He said, that's funny. I'm actually the GM there. Why don't we set you up for an interview for sales? So I could have been down on myself. I could have been, gone home. It was 10 o'clock at night, by the way. Could have gone home after school and just, continued to try to do something that I really didn't want to do. I could have gone back and just stayed in detail, but I decided to help somebody moving across the street at 10 o'clock at night that I had no idea who they were, and ended up being the GM of the store I was working for. And it gave me an opportunity to see what I got. Let's go to sales. Let's see. I was nervous. I was uncomfortable. And that's what I think some of us are right now. We're nervous. We're uncomfortable for doing the 3P. We're nervous. We're uncomfortable for actually tracking our numbers and holding ourselves accountable. We might be uncomfortable because I don't want to go back with that accept decline because they've already told me they don't want it. Whatever the reasoning is, relate it to yourself. Push through that uncomfortableness. I didn't want to do it, but I did it anyway. I showed up in a tie. I showed up with a bad haircut because my friend before, this is where I messed up. I should have gone to the barber. I went to my friend. He gave me a bad haircut. It was a big strip on the back of my head gone. He couldn't fix it. So the first day, I'm showing up already uncomfortable, don't know what I'm going to do. Glenn, his interview, he said, all right, you got the job, but I need you to sell a car. I need you to go out there and sell a car. I don't even talk to people, mind you. At this time, I was not comfortable talking to people. I really didn't care about, having a sales career or anything like that. I didn't know what to expect. He says, all right, your interview is to go sell a car. So long story short, ended up selling the car at 10:30 at night, making $800 on that one deal. And it changed my life forever. And that's a big statement, but it really did. It opened my mind once again. And I'm continuing to look for those little aha moments throughout my life. And this was an aha, $800. Like, I'm barely bringing that home in 3 weeks over in detail. I just did it in a few hours. Like, what else is possible? So I continued down that path. After I was, I did sales for 3 years, selling 30 cars a month, 25, 30 cars a month. And then one day I sat in the office. This was another aha moment. I sat in the office with the finance manager and I saw him do $5,500 on the back. And back then they were getting paid, I think, 15% of the $5,500. So I just saw him make a lot of money in about 20 minutes. And I'm like, wow, there it is. That's what I want to do. Ended up getting in trouble. Had to go through some 90-day hell week. I had to do bell to bell for 90 days, no days off. It was crazy. I about quit. I got to the point, and some of you guys might, not saying you might quit, but you're at the point where you're frustrated. You've had a few months that are just bad. They're just not good. Your numbers might even be trending down a little bit. And you're in the slump. We've talked about the slump. You're in the slump and you're like, how do I get out of this? What if I just think of something else to do? The best thing to do in that situation is to lean in on that. Lean in what makes you uncomfortable. Lean in on the fact that there's tons of opportunities, but look at yourself and say, what can I do to eradicate, to innovate, to change, to make my scenario different? And blame yourself for it. There's a lot of fingers we could point. We could point at the salespeople for not closing the deal. We could point at the GM for not leading the people in the right direction. We could point in our buyer saying, hey, you're not buying the deals properly. Or point into our inventory manager and say, hey, we need more inventory or better inventory. But let's look at what we can do. What can we do to improve that? And I definitely looked on that. After the 90-day hell week, triplet floor leader, did a bunch of sales management stuff. And then I was in finance. So when I got into finance, I didn't start at $3,000 a car. I didn't start at 70% VSE, 60% VSE. I didn't start at those numbers. I figured out how to get there. And I was just blessed and put in a situation where I could maneuver certain things around, and I got to see how it affected it very fast. So I tell you all this because you're not alone. I tell you all this because I'm not just another vendor. I'm not just another person that's coming in to try to make a quick buck. I'm not just another person that's trying to get you to do certain things for the hell of it. I'm a person that's really trying to help and trying to move the automotive industry in the right way. I'm trying to help people realize what is possible and show them, hey, don't go down this path. I've been down it and I know it doesn't work, or it doesn't work as well. It works, but you will never get to this number. If you want to be here, this is what we've got to do. And I've just been blessed to be put in that situation to where I know what you have to do to run those type of numbers. And I wish I ran them my whole career, but it took me a while to figure it out. And that's what I'm here to do with you all. So I appreciate each and every one of you, but we've got to ramp it up. We have to ramp it up. The 1,500, the 2,000, it's not going to cut it for the next 6 months. It's going to get harder. So please lean in on me. Let me know what I can do. And these are some of the things that we're seeing. We're seeing custom finance. We're seeing subprime deals. We're seeing cash outside finance. We're seeing sticker shocks, like payments just out the roof. We got negative equity. We've got market adjustments. We've got all those things. I know it's in every office. It's not just in yours. You're not alone. So embrace the group. Don't call these, don't call them negative situations or whatever you want to call them. They're opportunities for us to evolve and to keep growing. What do we have to do with every single customer? We've got to be transparent, clear, and convenient. Focus on those 3 words: transparent, clear, and convenient. And what does that mean? Let's break it down. Transparent. Show all the numbers up front. Don't be afraid to show the numbers. Don't be afraid to show the customer options. Mr. Customer, you've got a 72-month option at a 5.9%, or a 72-month option at a 7.9%. You've got a 60-month option at a 5.9%, and you've got an 84-month option at a 10.4%. Here are your payments. Which option works best for you? Let's not be afraid to show different options and different ways that the customer can go. We also need to explain the agreements. Transparent. We need to explain exactly what it covers, where it covers, if it's good at NEASC certified mechanic, what kind of deductibles it has, if it's full exclusionary, like does it have a rental coverage, all those things. Be transparent. And full disclosure. So full disclosure is pretty broad, but it means how are we able to give the customers the most information that we possibly can so that they can make an educated decision about it. You have to. Full disclosure. Clear. Clear in our head means knowing the end outcome. When you get a deal, when I got a deal, I knew where it was going to end up. I could already structure it out in my DMS. It's going to be here or here, depending on how I'm able to present it to the customer, how I'm able to educate the customer. It's going to be a $4,000 to $5,000 deal regardless. It's going to be a $1,500 to a $3,000 deal regardless. Like, know where the outcome is. Be very clear with that so that you can go in there very intentional. Lead, don't be led. And you hear me say this a lot, but lead, don't be led. The customer wants us to tell them what to do. Now you can't just, all right, mister, you should probably buy the VSE. No, you have to be passionate about it. You have to really have a purpose. Mr. Customer, I wouldn't let my family leave this office without a VSE. I know it's $3,500, but if you leave my office today and a year from now you're not in coverage and something happens and it's $14,000, I'm going to find myself responsible for not showing you the value in the $3,500 coverage. That's how much conviction that we have to have. That's how much we have to lead. We don't have to, the customer does not know. They don't know how important it is. They don't deal with it every single day. They buy a car once every 3 to 5 years. We have to show them the importance. Be a leader. Understandable language. And this one's big. I get a lot of people. Don't beat around the bush. Don't tell them, don't make up words and stuff to try to confuse the customer and terms and all that kind of crap. Just tell them what it is. Tell them up front. Yeah, say you have to sell them a silver or a powertrain coverage or whatever. Don't tell them, yeah, it'll cover all your seals, gaskets, your struts, name off all these crazy parts. Tell them exactly what it is. Tell them up front what kind of coverage they have, what to expect from it. Don't BS them. The next one's convenient. So in my mind, we should have them in and out of the office in less than 20 minutes. From the time that you say hello to the time you say goodbye should be less than 20 minutes. And 20 minutes is probably on the higher end if they're a subprime or you have to explain other documents or it's a hard close. 20 minutes. Technology. We've got to have the technology in our office, and I know a lot of us are, and I know a lot of us are staying up to date, but that's huge. The convenience factor of technology and how it can help us be more useful of our time. Readily available for the customer. And this doesn't just mean when the customer's in your office. This means after they sign the paperwork, before they sign the paperwork, before you meet them, after you meet them, 6 months down the road, a year down the road, whatever it is, they got a gap claim and they were in your office, you're available for them. Be available. Have that level of customer service that no other F&I manager has. Don't look at the phone. Dude, I've done it, but I'm telling you, don't do it. Look at the phone and you see a name or a number and you're like, oh shit, I don't want to answer that. I'll get to it in a minute. I got a customer in my office. Don't be that person. Don't be that person. I'm not saying interrupt your customer if they're in front of you. I'd say, Mr. Customer, this is important. Let me grab this really fast. Boom. Hello, Mr. Johnson. Yeah, would you mind giving me about 10 to 15 minutes? I'm finishing up with the customer now, and I'll give you a shout right back. What's the number to reach you? Make sure, because they're going to keep calling. It's going to get to your GM. It's going to get to your owner. It's going to get to your finance director. And why not just do it then while it's right in front of you? So I will tell you, that's one thing that's helped me a lot, is stay ready for the customer. Time expectation is massive. You guys know this too. It's like, set the expectation before they get into the office. At every point, whenever there's time involved, make sure to give them an expectation and over exceed that expectation. So what do I mean? Just for an example, because it's an easy example, say you're going to the interview, the meet and greet, and you're going to say, hey, Mr. Customer, give me 10 to 15 minutes to make sure that the banks battle together and we get you the best deal. Well, if you come out in 25 minutes, you've already lost trust with the customer. If you come out in 16 minutes, you might as well waited 25 minutes. Set a timer on your computer, on your phone, 12 minutes, 11 minutes. I want to come out before. And if I need more time, I'm going to set that expectation. Hey, Mr. Customer, Mr. Johnson, I know I told you 10 to 15 minutes. I appreciate your patience, and I'm doing everything I can to battle these lenders together to help save you thousands of dollars throughout the term of the loan. So if you give me another 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and structure this up to help save you a couple $1,000s. If you want to take a walk around the dealership, if you want to grab you a quick drink or tour the service department, please feel free, and I'll give you a ring or find you when we're ready. Set those expectations. It's massive, I'm telling you. Not your average Joe. So Joe, if you're watching this is what you made me think of this, my man. So remote signing deals, early involvement with customers, effective yet simple processes for all types of deals, self-development training for F&I, and next level presentations. I'm gonna leave it there for a second so you guys can see this. Remote signing deals. We don't just need to have an average remote signing deal where we call the customer, they pick up the phone, we do a quick presentation, they say no or yes, and we move on. We've got to make sure to make it elaborate. We've got to be on point. We've got to make it an experience they've never had before. Early involvement. I don't mean just going to shake their hand 10 minutes right after they bought the car because they got to wait and do the bundle, and then you're going to meet them here in a second. I mean, call them right out of the gate, just like a lead. Help your salesperson sell it. Early involvement. Get it as early involved as you can. And we were talking about this on the live Q&A with Caleb as well, but it doesn't always mean talking directly with the customer. You might see their deal get submitted. It's got a bunch of X's and maybe one green check. Look into that deal. Call those lenders with the X's. Say, hey, I know you declined this deal. What are we looking at? Why did we decline it? If we get a co-op, more money down, new unit, what's the difference? You'll be able to branch out. You'll be able to make a better deal than what that green check mark is, because more than likely, if you got 4 or 5 X's and one green check, that was the Hail Mary. So let's dive into that deal before they actually get there so that we can help that customer out. Next level presentations. If you don't have a DocuPad's awesome. I love it. I love the way that is presented. It's next level presentations. But I don't mean just technology. I don't just mean finding new menu tools, but next level presentations as your enthusiasm. You as a person, as a finance manager, you're a product yourself. Let's deliver it in a way that they've never seen or ever heard before. Let's be enthusiastic. Let's feel like we got to make them feel like they're special, important, and that they're the only person sitting in front of us and ever have or ever will be. That's what we have to do. Self-development, obviously you're in the group, you're already doing that. And then effective yet simple process for all types of deals. Cash deals, outside financing, leases. We've got to have those expectations from the bottom up, from salespeople to all the way up to management to GM. So I know that's a lot. I packed in a whole lot today. I know it's a little bit longer, but go back and rewatch it if you need to. Take some notes. Make sure that you're actively putting in the work and actively working on the things we talk about, not just watching and going through the motions. Like, I see the numbers. I know if you're doing it or not. And a lot of you are watching it. They might pop in a Zoom or two, but you're not actually doing the things. We can't critique it if we don't do it. So, hey, on that note, keep doing what you're doing, but excel more. Stay in that Mamba mentality, stay in the zone, and rock it out. Let's go.